Hi, Assalamualaikum and good morning. I am the first presenter. My name is Nurul Hazwani Mitwa Faiz and I have another two members, which is Nur Shazalina and Mushira Nazli. So our group has been chosen topic picketing. Introduction of picketing is defined when one individual or a group of people who disagree with a company pickets outside the business or at their place of employment to ask people not to enter until the issue is resolved. Picketing usually takes place before or after work, outside of regular business hour, or during the lunch hour. The employee will demonstrate outside in group holding giant banner and placard with statements expressing their disappointment and asking passerby to show their support. On 10 March 2022, there was an article released about the National Union of Bank Employees, or we call NUP, staged a protest against HSBC Bank Malaysia Berhad, highlighting their rights that has been alleged violated discrimination and unresolved grievance. NUP President Tan Ho claimed that HSBC violated the Personal Data Protection Act 2010 by revealing customer personal data to unknown parties. As many as 10 NUP members took part in the protest that day. Let's move on to the general guideline about how people can legally strike in protest, which is create a trade union before striking. Only a strike that has the support of at least 2 or 3 of the trade union members may be called. By secret ballot, which must be returned to the Director General within 7 days, the approval will begin. Therefore, if you are the only one who is unhappy with your company, you really can't complain to it alone. To put it another way, you and your co-worker can decide to go on strike against the company by forming a trade union if you and others are unhappy with it. Furthermore, in the agreement between employees and employee, trade unions are the exclusive representative. The registration must be finished 1 month following the union founding. A minimum of 7 members are required, and there is application fee, which is 30 ringgit. The members should also submit a copy of the rule of the trade union, and also a copy of the minutes from the first meeting, and the particular of the member. Next is to get permission to strike. For example, everyone has the right to form association. According to Article 10 of the Federal Constitution, workers in this situation are able to create trade unions, which are the type of association. However, a strike is still illegal if it is carried out by employees who are not members of a recognized trade union. Before participating in a strike, all trade unions must register with the Director General of Trade Union. If the strike is determined to be unlawful, each participant might face a fine of 2,000 or a year in jail. Moreover, know if you participate in a legal strike, you cannot get fired unless you make your own decision to resign by your own will. You can sue your own company and file the case to industrial court if they want to fire you within 60 days after being fired to appeal it. If the court finds that your dismissal was unfair, you are entitled to a number of benefits. As long as the trade union is registered and gets the Director General approval, your employer cannot really stop you from joining the strike. Furthermore, this is to differentiate between civil law and criminal law of picketing. You can lawfully join a picket line as long as the picketing is the worker involved are members of trade unions. A trade dispute between employees and employer exists. And number 2, it is held near a workplace of the employees. Number 4, it does not obstruct the entrance or exit in the workplace. It is peacefully give information to the public or other employees. And lastly, persuade other employees not to work if strike has been declared. Next is criminal offense for picketing is use threatening or abusive word or behave in threatening manners toward others passing close at the picket line. Number 2, get in the way of people who wants to enter or leave workplace. Number 3, bring offensive weapon. Number 4, damage property deliberately or recklessly. Therefore, to make it simple, picketing must not intimidate anyone or obstruct the entrance or exit in the organization and cause chaos in the industrial organization. Only those employees directly involved in the dispute can participate in the picketing, although an officer or employee of the union can be present to ensure the picketing is carried out according to the law. There may be police present at a picket line. The police can take any measure they feel are necessary to ensure picketing is peacefully and orderly.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm Nur Salina binti Hamidi. I will explain regarding the article we choose, which is new members picket at HSBC Bank. As you are aware, picketing is a strategy used to boost support for industrial action. It occurs when workers taking part in industrial action gather at their place of employment to raise awareness of their cause. They might accomplish this by informing others or influencing them to refuse to carry out all or a part their job obligation. An article titled New Members Picket at HSBC Bank had been identified and studied by our group. We have identified and determined the reason why picketing took place in these circumstances based on the article that we studied. First and foremost, on March 10, 2022, the article mentioned a protest against HSBC Bank over suspected discrimination and unresolved grievances. The report claims that HSBC Malaysia discriminated against its employees in Johor Bahru and routinely disregarded valid complaints brought up by both NUB and its employees. Meanwhile, on May 26, 2022, approximately 500 members of the National Union of Bank Employees (NUB) demonstrated outside the bank's branch in Jalan Sultan Yusof here in protest of what they claimed was hypocrisy and dishonesty in handling union members' complaints since 2019. For instance, the business frequently disregarded justifiable complaints brought forth by its workers and NUB. Around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, protesters were observed crowding nearby with signs accusing the bank of violating the workers' rights and treating them unfairly. The picketing, as we understand it from this article, might occur if an employee feels that their rights have been infringed due to discrimination or other concern. Additionally, the article claims that the bank ignored 300 trade disputes regarding harmonious industrial relations. Peaceful relations between management or the employer and the workforce are referred to as harmonious industrial relations. Good communication, employee reward and incentive, and encouragement for your staff work-life balance are all prerequisites for healthy relationships. However, the HSBC Bank has breached the law by ignoring 300 trade disputes that can have a negative impact on the harmonious working relationship between the employer and employees. In such a case, the company will lose the employee's faith that was given to it. With the information of the provided article, we can see that the company needs to maintain a positive relationship between the employer and employees in order to avoid miscommunication or corruption within the organization. By preventing it from happening, it will make the employees build their trust in the organization. Such things as picketing will not happen if the trust between the workers is established. The article then goes on to discussion how their customer privacy was violated by disclosing consumers' personal information to an authorized person. The corporation had broken the Personal Data Protection Act of 2010. It is a violation of bank confidentiality requirement when customers' data is disclosed to an authorized person, as also stated in Legal Protection of Bank Customer in violation of customer data confidentiality. Based on the fund deposit agreement with the bank and the banking law, the customer's right to the secrecy of personal data is a right that is protected by the law. If a customer rights are violated, as they were in this case, could result in ongoing conflict between the bank and the customer. This case also concerned the client's faith in the business. Losing customer trust may be the most serious long-term effect of a privacy data leak. Customers trust the organization with their private data if they have the necessary security procedures in place to safeguard their information. For example, the personal customer data can be violated if a hacker gained access to 383 million client records at the hotel company. After everything that has happened, they have no choice but to picket because the bank's management has refused to deal with the complaints that union members have been raising for the past 3 years and has violated the right and interests of members of the B40 and M40 groups. The corporation has done nothing to stop the issue that the union members have been dealing with for the past 3 years. The picketing that occurred urged HSBC Bank to address this issue and do so at their own cost. The article also states that this is due to their approach, which is not true and truthful in resolving employee difficulties, but instead seeks to postpone the social dialogue process. While bringing HSBC Bank's attention to their complaints, with picketing, it can raise employees' hope that their complaints would be resolved. And the company has no right to treat this subject lightly because it can cure their right. And the bank employees has also purposely avoided negotiation with Nuke to resolve all the company's complaints.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Mushira binti Nazli and my merchant number is 06DSK20F1041. Now I want to share with you a little bit about picketing. Picketing is a situation where a workers involved in a strike gather at a workplace to rally a support for their causes. The term described included strikes, workers who had been locked out by the employer, and trade union representative. According to the law in Malaysia, in Industrial Relations Act 1967, the subject will carry a fine up to 1,000 ringgit, imprisonment that not more than 1 year or above. Then they will be subjected if the picketing or strike found to be illegal. And our group has made some suggestions for the picketing. First of all, if you are a worker on a picket line and in dispute with your employee, you can try to persuade workers who are affected to support you in a peaceful manner. And for example, try to persuade lorry driver from a different company not to deliver supplies. This also applies in the second point in the slide, which is picketing others' company premises whose employees are not in a dispute however is illegal. For example, you are on a strike. You should not go to the premises of your employer customer to encourage their employers not to handle your employer's goods. Second suggestion is a mass picketing. With the widespread of a criminal increases, it is most likely to cause serious public disorder or a property damage. If this happens when a picketing, the police may arrest the picketers, which is the employees. Pickets and their organizers should make sure that the total number of pickets at any entrance or exit from a workplace. Thirdly, you can consider a cross-picket line. If one of your union members discipline you for a cross-picket line, you can file a complaint to the industrial tribunal. A cross-picket line is a sign that they either do not care about the strike or have actively decided to go against it. In the point number 2, which is threatened by the co-workers for crossing a picket line, immediately report to the police. If this happens, you have to demonstrate to your employer that you did everything possible to do so. And if you join the strike, employers do not have to pay you. Before I go to the suggestion on how to resolve the problem in the workplace, I will do an introduction. The challenge that the company have to face in the future cannot be avoided. That's why one must learn on how to solve the problem that always arise in the workplace. The difficulty that the company will confront in the future won't be avoided. Because of this, the business must take an action to lessen the issue and understand how to deal with it. Learn about the various informal and formal methods that you can use to resolve the issue if they arise at work, and try to identify the issue and rule out a simple misunderstanding or a mistake before taking any further action. Our group had come with an idea of suggestion which we hope it can solve the problem arise in every organization. First, you can explain the problem to your manager or supervisor if you think it is a genuine issue so that you can attempt an informal resolution. An employee may find it useful. For example, the problem that the employee faces is grievance. They don't feel content with something such as their right has been violated and think it's unfair or unjust to them. And grievances are typically used to describe an employee unhappiness with the company's work policy and circumstances as a result of an alleged legal infraction. And they might unhappy with the work policies. And the problem that relate to grievance can be solved with our suggestion just now. Next suggestion is seek the counsel to help the employee solve the problem. You might visit the Labour Relations Agency (LRA) as they can offer the employee guidance regarding their problem. If you seek these people, it can increase the chance to solve the problem. Example of the issue that might use the suggestion is a disciplinary problem. An employer can be worried about an employee conduct, absent from work, regular tardiness, or how well they perform their job. It is usually better to try to come to an agreement on a solution at the time the issue is brought up, whether it be informally with employees or as a part of a performance assessment. Lastly, seek third party to sort out the problem at work, also one of the suggestions that our group came up with. If include other people outside of the firm, there might be an advantage in negotiation process. And it comes in a two-way of suggestion, which is mediation and conciliation. Mediation is an interactive process where an impartial third party assists disputing parties in resolving conflict through the use of the socialized communication and negotiation skills, while conciliation is a dispute resolution process where the Department of Industrial Relations helps to settle dispute between employers and employees, in which the third party can solve the problem with satisfactory answer to both parties. Arbitration also an option, which is a dispute is submitted to an impartial third party for a binding decision, and the process is they will listen to the arguments between opposing party and listen to arguments as objective third party, instead use litigation.
In conclusion, there are many options available to the public employee to lessen the effect of job action, picketing, and strike. No single solution can be considered a remedy. Some options can only be chosen over others after carefully considering local factors. Even then, the conflict will not be resolved by the option. Although this option may not address the fundamental issue that are the cause of the conflict, they may lessen or even eliminate its symptoms. Many areas of disagreement are quickly settled down when both sides adopt an attitude of mutual trust and respect. Pressure tactics used by either side will not result in lasting and effective solution to the labor issue. This issue must be resolved in a way that both parties can get all benefits. In the end, only a negotiated agreement can secure ongoing labor peace, which should be both labor and management priority.